fit. Would you feel safe in this country? Would you stay in this country?
Howard, I'm doing everything I can to make sure he does not win.
When Howard Stern decides to take on Kamala Harris, you can bet it's not going to be gentle. Expect caffeine, chaos, and commentary served scorching hot. Picture the loudest voice in radio tearing into the most carefully practiced political smile. It's not a debate, it's a demolition. And honestly, Kamala's laugh might need witness protection by the time Stern is done talking. Buckle up.
Playing the bat dance for Madam Vice President. Well, we'll listen to this for a second. First of all, it's me, Howard. I'm here on a special day. I was supposed to have a day off. I'd only come in for the Vice President of the United States because right now is my nap time.
Try not to fall asleep during this interview.
Do you nap at all?
Not really. I wish I could. I don't mind, like in a different life, sometimes on a Sunday afternoon. Yeah.
I know. Look what you. By the way, I'm playing bat dance because I knew you were a prince.
You know you don't want to miss this one. So go ahead, hit that like button, and subscribe before things get wild. You can almost feel the internet shake whenever Howard Stern aims his verbal torpedoes at Kamala Harris. Somewhere in Washington, phones light up like missile alerts. A nervous intern mutters, "Please just don't laugh," while the communications team braces for impact. Because when the king of shock radio takes aim at the vice president, he's not discussing policy, he's putting on a spectacle.
The $6,000 tax credit for those with newborns.
Yeah.
And this is a real boom to people. This is stuff that would be, I'm a new grandfather. I have two grandchildren, but I have a
new one?
A new one.
Uh-huh.
Brand new.
Good for you. Congratulations.
And you know what? A $6,000 tax credit is saying you're pro-family.
And what does it do? It allows a young parents to be able to buy a crib, a car seat. That stuff is expensive.
With decades behind the mic, Howard Stern can spot fake charm from a mile away. He knows when someone's selling charisma by the gallon, but delivering it by the drop. So when he starts going after Kamala, it's less a critique and more like a cosmic event. The queen of overdone enthusiasm colliding with the king of unfiltered honesty.
Do you ever think in your lifetime you would see a Republican not supporting NATO and wanting to disassemble NATO? I mean, what world are we living in?
And
this is all weird.
NATO, which is the greatest military alliance the world has ever known.
It's what my father's
talk about strength?
Yeah.
That is strength to embrace that alliance as America, as Americans, and he would walk away because he admires.
Then Stern shifts gears, asking the question no one expected. Did you ever think you'd see a Republican call for NATO to be dismantled? It's a surreal world we're living in. NATO, the strongest military alliance in history, the very thing his father once praised as a pillar of American courage. And now we've got people treating it like a burden. To Howard, it's madness, admiring tyrants while rejecting allies.
Out in the hall, I said, I'm really nervous because I want this to go well for you. I want it to go well for the country. There's too much at stake. I believe the entire future of this country right now, I mean, as America, land of the free, home of the brave, I think it's literally on the line.
I literally lose sleep and have been over what is at stake in this election. I mean, honestly, I end the day pretty much every day these days asking myself, what can I do more?
Still, what really gets him isn't just politics, it's performance. Kamala's interviews, he says, feel like an endless loop of awkward laughter, confusion, and overly polished speeches about hope. Every time she smiles through tough questions, Stern sees less sincerity and more stage lighting.
The stuff that is so necessary for that incredibly important phase of their child's development. And again, the return on the investment is profound.
Yes.
Pro-family is about taking care of, like I announced today, my plan to make sure that Medicare covers at-home elder care, because probably a lot of your listeners are in that sandwich generation.
Oh my God.
Where they're taking care of young kids and they're elder.
Picture the scene. Howard leans in, that trademark smirk creeping across his face as years of bottled up disbelief finally spill out. To him, Kamala doesn't just use metaphors, she builds entire mazes out of them. Ask her about inflation, and 5 minutes later, she's talking about life as a circle of possibilities floating away like helium balloons waiting to be caught.
More than he does.
What did you think of this thing that just came out today? That Bob Woodward's book was saying that Trump was sending COVID tests to Putin, and Putin said, don't let anyone know.
I believe that Donald Trump has this desire to be a dictator. He admires strong men, and he gets played by them because he thinks that they're his friends.
Yeah.
And they are manipulating him.
And Howard's not having it. He's listened to more politicians than most people have had hot dinners. But Kamala's delivery stands out. It's like watching a stand-up comic who seems genuine and lost at the same time. Someone who steps up to deliver a punchline and then completely forgets it. Howard zeroes in on Kamala's strange gift, how she can sound deeply emotional and completely detached.
That brings me to Howard Stern and his interview of Kamala Harris, where he put the cards on the table about how he was feeling, in particular about her latest media tour, which did not include Saturday Night Live, but she was lampooned on it a little. A lampoon may be too strong, but she was mocked, as they usually do, just to Republicans.
At the same time, it's like watching a motivational speaker recite from a philosophy major's teleprompter. Every sentence becomes an inspirational landmine. Beautifully worded, yet ready to explode into confusion, she circles back to personal stories, draping even simple topics in poetic abstraction. To Howard, she's the only politician who can turn good morning into a philosophical riddle. It's not that he disrespects her position, he's seen it all, and he genuinely loves how absurd it gets. Each time she takes the stage, the vice president sounds like she's narrating a self-help audiobook titled Finding Yourself in Circles of Progress. Howard paints the scene perfectly. At one press conference, Kamala spent 5 minutes and 3 metaphors explaining something a child could summarize in one word. We are where we are because we are here. You can practically hear Howard's slow, incredulous laugh behind the mic, half disbelief, half delight. Kamala's total lack of awareness about her delivery only amplifies the comedy. She presents every phrase as if it's a line of poetry, every pause as if it carries the weight of history. Howard, ever the master observer, spots the performance instantly. He imagines her rehearsing in front of a mirror, the perfect chuckle, the practiced look of concern. Every smile approved by 3 PR experts and a pollster. Her public persona feels less spontaneous conversation, more stage play. And that to Howard is the punchline itself.
Taylor Swift endorsed you. Great. Okay, I don't know if it moves the needle or not, but you need everyone to come into the tent and be part of the party. To say, I hate Taylor Swift because she disagrees with your politics. He's done this to me. When Donald asked me to introduce him at the Republican convention, I said, Donald, I can't. I'm voting for Hillary Clinton. He was very upset with me, and he said, no. And then he hated me. Then I was a bad guy. No longer had ratings. I wasn't funny. I was, I got all the crap for it. How can we have that kind of mentality? I mean, because she disagrees with his politics, he hates her?
I think Donald Trump is an unserious.
And yet, Howard finds her fascinating. Kamala is this rare mix of seasoned and unpredictable, someone who can sound completely serious 1 second, then burst into laughter the next, as if she accidentally swapped scripts with a late-night comedian. It's like watching 2 Kamalas battle for control mid-sentence. One a polished professional, the other addicted to the spotlight. Howard's only just warming up. He dives straight into her image, calling her the perfect symbol of today's political contradiction, a leader who claims to break barriers but somehow loses clarity in the process. She embodies progress wrapped in motivational fog. He compares her to a smartphone update that promises innovation, but mostly just adds new icons and new confusion. It's exactly the kind of circular wisdom Howard loves to dissect. The sort of statement that sounds profound until you stop and actually think about it. That's where his comedic rhythm locks in. He paints Kamala as the kind of politician who could give a 10-minute speech about the importance of speeches. With her ever-bright eyes and relentless enthusiasm, she comes across like someone who's just discovered democracy and can't wait to share the news. And being Howard, he wrings every last drop of irony out of it.
As she yaks about pachyderms, our video of the day comes to us from the former VP who made her first major speech last night since Trump took office. And it was another classic ball of verbal vomit. Here she is referencing a viral video of elephants. Watch.
Who saw that video from a couple of weeks ago? The one of the elephants at the San Diego Zoo during the earthquake? And as soon as they felt the earth shaking beneath their feet, they got in a circle and stood next to each other to protect the most vulnerable.
Howard jokes that Kamala's laughter could qualify as a national weather event, always a little late, wildly unpredictable, occasionally overwhelming, and sometimes contagious. He imagines her staff running emergency drills just to be ready for it. If she starts laughing, make eye contact, nod politely, and wait for it to pass. The image alone sends Howard into a fit of disbelief. What really makes the moment hilarious is how effortlessly he flips her words against her intentions. Kamala means well, and that's exactly why the roast works. Howard isn't out to destroy her. He's exposing the absurd gap between message and meaning. Despite her sincerity, she often ends up confusing more than inspiring. He knows she represents something bigger than herself, the age of political performance, where optics outrun substance. Kamala's entire public persona feels as though it's been engineered by a branding agency that only specializes in positivity. And in classic Howard fashion, the deeper he gets into the mockery, the more philosophical he becomes. Between jokes about her metaphors and misplaced laughter, he drifts into reflection. Modern politicians don't hide behind policy papers anymore. They hide behind relatability. Kamala, for all her charm, is the perfect case study.
Think about it. What a powerful metaphor.
Yeah. It's almost like they built a wall. Yeah. You know, maybe they can circle around your husband, Doug, to protect vulnerable nannies. But Kamala brought that long-winded story in for a landing with this poignant lesson.
Because we know those who try to incite fear are most effective when they divide and conquer, when they separate the herd.
No, Kamala isn't trying to sound brilliant. She's trying to sound benevolent. The irony is that the harder she tries to connect, the more distant she appears. It's the uncanny valley of empathy. Too polished, too symmetrical, too rehearsed. Howard watches clips of her delivering motivational pep talks to staff in the same measured cadence she uses for interviews. "We must fulfill our obligations because they are vital," she declares, as if unveiling a secret law of physics. That's when Howard's tone shifts from amusement to something close to awe. It's not mockery anymore. It's appreciation for performance art. Kamala has turned circular logic into a form of communication. In a world of scripted politicians, she's managed to elevate vagueness into a brand. Howard almost admires it. The confidence it takes to speak with total conviction while saying absolutely nothing. She's like a magician who never performs a trick, yet the audience still applauds. He genuinely wonders how many times she's answered a question without realizing she never did. That's her hidden talent. Infusing uncertainty with optimism. It's inspirational stew disguised as political insight. Before she gives a speech, Howard imagines her mind swirling with 1,000 affirmations, all floating like balloons, waiting for their turn. You know what America needs? He mimics. Joy, resilience, and circles. He nails her rhythm, her tone, the way she stretches sincerity until it becomes spectacle.
We see her plenty. We see her incompetence and her arrogance on display when she tries to string simple words together. She doesn't create sentences, she creates word salads. She could open a salad buffet and make a handsome sum on the illiterate nonsense that she spews on everything from the budget to inflation to immigration. She has been completely AWOL on immigration, and shame on her. And anyone who says that she was given that job because of misogyny and racism needs to go away and not be a part of the discussion. It doesn't matter what your background is when you're vice president, when you're tasked with something this important.
What makes Howard's roast so irresistible is that it never turns cruel. It's sharp, clever, and layered with that distinct blend of comedy and insight only he can deliver. He laughs. Not out of disdain, but because every sentence Kamala utters feels like the buildup to something profound that never quite arrives. It's a melody forever suspended before the final note. She's like a loading screen in human form, bright, upbeat, and perpetually buffering. And that's the beauty of it. Everyone's seen it. The speeches, the interviews, the viral clips that went sideways. Howard simply articulates what the rest of the world was too polite to admit. Kamala is a walking paradox, radiant yet opaque, confident yet confusing, serious yet unintentionally theatrical. That tension makes her perfect material for Howard's brand of humor. He closes the segment with a vivid image. Kamala at a press conference delivering what sounds more like a self-help sermon than a policy statement. "Today," she declares passionately, "is today. because we are here today. Howard pictures himself in the back of the room, biting his lip to keep from laughing as reporters dutifully jot down notes. That's not politics, he thinks. It's performance art wrapped in sincerity. Naturally, she ruins it. Howard ends with that knowing grin that's pure stern, part amusement, part disbelief. Kamala Harris isn't just the vice president. She's the first person in political history to use confusion as a communication style. A true pioneer of the rhetorical maze where every answer leads back to the same smile. Just when you think he's finished dissecting the Kamala phenomenon, he dives deeper, like a comedian studying an exotic creature through a magnifying glass. He imagines her at a policy roundtable, nodding enthusiastically at every point with that perfectly choreographed, utterly genuine grin, while her staff behind the cameras frantically signals, "No, no, no." The absurdity delights Howard. To him, it wouldn't matter if she were discussing inflation or how to make oatmeal, it would still sound like a TED Talk about the journey of life. And then there's the laugh, that signature, unpredictable burst that rattles both microphones and reason. Howard pictures aides diving for cover as it echoes down the marble hallways of Washington. It's contagious, disorienting, and perfectly timed to make you question your own sanity. Then, with the precision of a satirist at his peak, Howard zooms in, figuratively and literally. He studies how Kamala glides between grave policy issues and nostalgic childhood stories with the agility of a jazz saxophonist hitting an unexpected high note mid-solo. The tone changes, the tempo shifts, and suddenly what should be serious becomes surreal. Howard leans back, laughing softly. That, he says, is not politics, it's jazz. As if to prove her empathy, she pivots from justice reform to announcing her favorite ice cream flavor. It's the kind of tonal whiplash that always cracks Howard up. That perfect collision between gravity and goofiness. He pictures Kamala mid-debate explaining policy as though she's teaching quantum physics to a kindergartner, nodding like a metronome, her cadence flawless, her meaning elusive. The moderator looks desperate, the audience politely baffled, and Kamala beams, blissfully unaware that she's just turned a policy discussion into a piece of performance art. Howard can't help but hum as he wraps up, amused by the spectacle. The audience laughs, unsure if they've just witnessed politics or improv theater. And as the curtain falls on his roast, one thought lingers. In all her polished, practiced, laugh-triggering glory, Kamala Harris has finally met her comedic equal.